My very first question is, since that nowadays the popularity of streaming content is also based on mentions on social media and blah blah blah, did you feel any kind of pressure considering that the first episode of the show was going to be on streaming on Disney Plus on the same weekend of the Snyder Cut?
Oh, uh, you know, I didn't, but probably I'm sure some people, higher up than me, probably was a bit worried about it. But there's room for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. So in the very first episode, we have people dealing with collective and personal traumas and a violent political movement. Would you have ever imagined while you were filming the show that it was going to capture the zeitgeist, not just of the lives of the Marvel characters, but also of our very own lives?
That's a very good question. We were telling that story from the beginning, and we were embracing already, because we were already in a very politically charged environment with what was going on in the U.S. and immigration, and we were dealing with elitism and obviously racial. There was a big racial component to it, and from the beginning, I felt it was an incredibly important story, really the most important story of the century. What was just shocking and striking was as the world went into the pandemic, which we couldn't have predicted, it was kind of like the blip. And then, then it dug deeper into these racial, protests, and our conversation became just so much even more relevant. If it already was relevant, it now became, as you said, in the zeitgeist of what needed to be explored. So I think it made us very conscious that it was important that we have this conversation and get it right, or at least as right as we possibly could. So we sharpened our pencils and we made sure that that's what was going on. And I think we certainly wanted it to be a thoughtful exploration of these themes, and of what it was for a Black man to hold the shield, this very iconic symbol that was very U.S. centric and white centric. And what did that mean? And it represents big government. But we didn't want to tie it up in a neat little bow. I think it was important that we explored it, but did not answer all the questions, and let the audience have their own debate. So if we presented these ideas and these concepts and explored these themes through our characters, then the audience, I hope the takeaway will be that they will sit with them and continue the conversation.
I really love the action scenes of the first episode. They are always very clear, hectic, but not messy. So, did you draw inspiration from any specific movies, or this is a direct reflection of your take on action scenes?
Well, I would say it's probably more direct. It's a combination of experience, because I've done a lot of action, not of the Marvel League of it, but
Yeah.
I'd done a lot of action. And so the experience of what that was, but also I wanted it to be very grounded. So we are making a grounded show. We are making grounded characters. So unlike if Endgame was the, visual extravaganza and spectacle, that was otherworldly, this was in our world and interacting from a much more grounded place. So that was number one. But then for each sequence, as you will see when it unfolds, each sequence is unique and has a unique perspective, which is always character-based, always story-based. In the opening, though, I looked a lot to extreme sports videos,
Oh.
because I wanted, we were flying with Falcon for the first time in a way that we'd never seen him before. So I wanted that to be reflected in how we captured that. And technology has changed over the last few years, where we don't necessarily have to just point a camera at somebody. We can be with them. We can slap cameras all over their body, and so that was what we did. And people jumped out of planes and had cameras all over them, and we managed to get that really experiential quality where you're with him instead of looking at him.
Thank you very much. Can't wait to see how it goes in the other episodes. Bye bye.
Terrific.